So when we look at quarterbacks, we know Drake May's playing. How do you
Yeah.
expect the reps to be divided tonight? Do you have any insight on that?
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, Mayo said everybody's going to play, so I think you'll see Brissett for maybe a series or two, depending on how long they last. And then, I mean, I'd love to see a big chunk of Drake May. I think this is what he needs most. Good chunk of the maybe first quarter into the second quarter, and then we'll see. I mean, just every practice has been mostly Brissett and May, and then you get a sprinkling here and there of Joe Milton and Bailey Zappi. So I think both those guys need some reps too, but I think it's been clear in camp that, Brissett, May, those are the focus. I wouldn't expect to see May for, into the third quarter. I think they probably move on and give Zappi and Milton a chance. But I think that's the best thing for May is that he gets a good chunk of reps tonight.
How important is this game as a fan watching Drake May? Like, how much should we put in his performance tonight?
Well, I mean, I would say, of course, it's a preseason game, but I think this is kind of, a chance for him to show a little bit of what he can't show in camp, which is, breaking down, getting outside the pocket, making plays on the move. I think in camp, they've really been trying to, and correctly so, make him play within structure within the offense and, learn that. That's what he has to learn. But what we really haven't seen is live tackling or any of that stuff. So, May's athleticism, it jumps off the field. His arm on the move is excellent. So I think, it's been a process for him, getting going in camp. But I think this is a chance to actually see some of the things that make Drake May special, which are those, off-platform kind of things. And you've seen glimpses of it in camp. But I think those are the things that'll remind you, like, the talent that this kid has, even if he's still trying to, learn an NFL offense and really understand how to play quarterback in the league.
As you mentioned, this is the first chance we will get to see this team under live fire conditions. How concerned should we be about the health of the quarterbacks behind the offensive line?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, they're really banged up right now. I mean, Okorafor has been watching practice, for a while. We saw Caden Wallace get banged up a little bit. Even Calvin Anderson went down a couple. So, I mean, they're already banged up. I mean, there's a good chance they could go into this game with just 4 tackles. Of course, and when you can swing around, I don't think anybody wants to do that in the preseason. So I will say this, though. Look, the protection, at least with the first group and somewhat into the second, has been better. It's improved over the last couple of weeks, and, you're seeing pockets. So, at least as far as training camp practice goes, for whatever that's worth, it hasn't been like an abject disaster. And you're like, my God, they can't even run plays. Certainly, we have seen some of that in the past couple years. So I wouldn't be overly worried. But look, the guys got to get out there. They got to play. I mean, it's never going to be an ideal situation. So hopefully, line can hold up and protect those guys. But you got to like the fact that May at least has some wiggle, and hopefully he can get out if things get a little too hairy. He can escape the pocket and make some plays.
We haven't really talked a lot about Mayo and, what his coaching style is like and what it's been like through camp. How long do you think it'll be before we see what his style is and how he's suited to this job? Is it going to be in a preseason game, or we're going to have to wait till the regular season?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to wait till the preseason. But I mean, honestly, Hardy, I think like you're getting little glimpses of it now with like the Judon thing. And, Mayo and Wolf both said it like when they got hired, like everything's great right now. You get hired. It's, you have no baggage. You have no controversy. You have nothing to deal with. And I think that's when you really get a sense of, what kind of coach he's going to be is when the problems start happening and how does he deal with them? Like I said, you got a little flavor of it with Judon. I don't know where that situation is headed, but I think once you get into the regular season and the real bullets start flying, and you have to see how he's going to adjust if the team isn't playing well. I think that's where you really start to get a sense of who he is as a coach. But even for May and a lot of these new guys, everything's perfect right now. Like there hasn't been a lot of problems. I mean, it's of course there's the ups and downs of training camp and that's to be expected. But I think once the real problems and issues start to pop up, that inevitably always do, I think that's when you're going to learn a little bit more about what kind of coach Gerard Mayo is going to be.
All right. How has Joe Milton looked in camp? And then tell me about Bailey Zappi.
Yeah, I mean, Milton's got a cannon. I mean, everybody knows that. In the spring when we were talking about him, me and Lazar, it's like I said, I'm like, it'll at least be fun to watch this guy in camp. And, he certainly brings energy, but, the hard part is just they don't play that much. I mean, it's clear that it's a bunch of Brissett, a bunch of May, and then, all right, this time we're going to let Joe Milton get some snaps. I think it'll be really interesting to see Milton just, he looks great 7-on-7. I mean, he's got, like I said, he's got the arm and it's super impressive. But I think the thing with him is once once you see a defense starting to throw something at him, that's where the processing kind of comes into play. So I'm very interested to just see him going against the live defense. And as for Zappe, I mean, as he's told you, he's won games in the league. I guess he's certainly going to be putting himself out there and trying to, send a message to other teams. But it's been such a limited sample size from those two guys. It's hard to really say like there's much there. I mean, clearly their focus is on Brissett and May right now and getting those guys ready. So a little bit of an unknown, but we'll see how they do against, again, you're going to be talking about the third offensive line at that point. It might get a little dicey for those guys.
All right. What about receivers? As it looks like Brandon Ayuk, they're out of that whole Brandon Ayuk thing, much to great controversy. Did you hear Felger and Mazda were really attacking Mike Reese? Would that have pissed you off if they were saying that about you, that you didn't vet your sources?
Well, look, I have no illusion about being a journalist. I know I work for the team, man, and that's all okay. I'm not trying to dig stories. I understood Reese's point and why he's defending himself, and I also, I get where Felger's coming from, and look, I'm a little disappointed they didn't get Ayuk, but I wasn't over the moon trying to like, oh my God, we got to do whatever we have to do to get him. But in terms of the receivers, I think Jalen Polk, to me, has been probably the most consistent guy, and that's a good sign for a rookie. We've seen rookies come in here and they get hurt and they can't really deliver. So, Javon Baker, everybody loves to talk. I mean, he makes splash plays. I just haven't seen it consistently in team periods from him. There's a lot of intrigue there. I mean, the guy is athletic. He's explosive. Love to see him start to string some things together. And then, it's hard to say. Thornton's had some good practices. KJ Osborne's had some good practices.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Tyquan Thornton. Is Tyquan Thornton guaranteed to make this team?
If you asked me last week, I might have said, yeah, but then he missed a practice and, he's back, but he's still not fully participating. So, it's all those guys and, Rager and Booty and, that kind of group have all kind of made plays at times, but it's just hard to really discern like which guys are really going to make impacts here. So I don't know how much we'll learn tonight, but I certainly am really excited about the rookies. I mean, Polk and Baker, there's definitely something there and something for them to work with. And, you see them working with May a lot. So I do like that. And that kind of cushions the blow a little bit for Brandon Ayuk that, you didn't get that guy. Like, I just feel encouraged that that when these receivers are coming up, that the Patriots understand that they need them and they're making a push to get them. And clearly they haven't gotten them yet, but at least they understand they need that player. So it at least gives you some sense of optimism that they're going to be aggressive with those kind of guys.
Who else gets the looky-loo tonight? We're going to do the whole segment coming up at 8 o'clock. But, I mean, it's like, you're going to have your peepers peeled on a certain thing. It's got to be defense for you, dude. There's some like linebacker I don't even know is on the team. There's some safety that no one's ever heard of that you've really had you've really been watching so far. Yeah, who is it?
Yeah, well, Jalen Hawkins has been a little bit popular in my ocular. There's been some injuries on the safety group with Pepper's a little bit limited. Josh Bledsoe is out, so I look at Jalen Hawkins, kind of an experienced guy, and he just fits that mold of the safeties. And I wrote a little bit about him this week. I asked Mayo about him, and he said, "Look, he's a guy who's going to play a lot. We really have to see what he has." I think you look at the history of the Patriots defense kind of at its best when they got 3 rotational safeties. And I think that Hawkins could be that kind of more free safety, maybe complement Peppers and Duggar a little bit more, maybe free them up a little bit. I don't expect him to be, heavily involved in, playing most of the snaps defensively coming the season. But I think just that Deron Harmon kind of rotational piece, it just might enable Peppers and Duggar to really make more plays on the ball, play closer to the line of scrimmage. So he's one guy, and I would just say the cornerback group to me overall, after Jonathan Jones and Christian Gonzalez, it's really hard to tell. So the same thing as the receivers. Some of those guys have had good days, some of them have not. It's which guy's going to stand out on a particular day. So I think those guys have an opportunity tonight to kind of stand out.
So you're saying that you will have your peepers on Peppers?
Oh, my peepers are always on Peppers. Don't worry.
Do you have an automatic in with Mayo? I mean, are you identified as the defensive guy? And I mean that you're just always horny for the defense, even before that the team was going to be relying on it. And given Mayo's background, do you two have an automatic kinship?
I really don't know that, Hardy, but I will say, back in the day when he was just coaching the linebackers, that you'd get those like Zoom sessions, and they'd often be conflicting for the coaches, and sometimes he'd be going up against the offensive coordinator. Everybody's got to go talk to Matt Patricia or Bill O'Brien. So there were a couple of times where it's just me and Mayo like hanging out, like, hey, what's up, buddy? So I always love talking defense. So I don't know what his awareness is of me and defense, but I am excited to see how those guys do tonight.
Do you want one impossible Jaws trivia question?
I had a feeling it was coming, Hardy.
Okay, because you remember what it was last time, Fred. I asked him the name of the first victim in the film, the woman who goes swimming topless. It's a very ribald scene in the opening of Jaws. And Ryan Johnson, any idea what her name was? The woman who goes swimming and dies?
Like the actress?
No, just the character's name.
No, of course.
Deuce?
Chrissy Watkins.
Chrissy Watkins. He knew it off the top of his head. He didn't even have to think about it.
Is that said in the movie? Or is that did you just read it off the credits?
I think
holy crap, I don't know.
During the autopsy, maybe? I don't know.
What?
Yeah. Christine Watkins. I don't know. Maybe it was written on a card or something. I don't know.
They take stuff out of her?
Yes. Yeah. So this is what happens.
This is what happens.
So this is because Deuce is also a musician. He plays a little guitar. He fiddles around. He's got you were in a band at some point. So this will be a test of whether this is super inside, super nerdy, and if you have perfect pitch. The two iconic notes in the Jaws theme.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
No, not that one. Just this one.
Let's
what
go,
two notes are they?
ED? No.
Dude.
I don't. You got me, Hardy.
You can go to Northeast Men's Health.
Fred.
It's on my mind, apparently.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you got, Hardy?
F and F sharp.
F and F sharp. All right. Well,
if you were more effing sharp, we'd have something to do. There you go.
That's good. That's good. I was just. Thanks, guys. No, I was just going to say, I know Johnson's there, so I didn't know if you're going to throw me a USA ref hockey question. So that we can save that for next time.
He's also a hockey ref. He's multifaceted. This Mike Dussault.
Yeah, the Patriots.com's really got you running around, huh?
You got hockey ref experience, Mike. You should be calling the NHL. They could use a little bit of help.
I love it. Well, tonight's going to be tough though without Hardy, so I'll miss you tonight, Hardy. It's going to be a grind without you.
I'll be listening. I'll be checking in on you guys.
All right, Mike. We appreciate it. Patriots.com. He's got his list of players to watch tonight. Everything else. Thank you for the time, sir.
If you like that clip, and how could you not? Check out more videos from Toucher and Hardy here. Point slightly up and to the left. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. Point slightly down and to the left. And for the latest from the Sports Hub, download at 985thesportshub.com.